Hi everyone, today we have Grandmaster David from Australia joining with us to share his insight of the game he played with Aritha. So welcome to SL Chess Diary and Rahulians International. So before we get into the game, how was the tournament so far? How's Sri Lanka? How's everything for you? Is this your first time visiting Sri Lanka?
It's my second time, but the last time was 2002, so quite a long time ago. Yeah, that was for the Asian juniors, Asian under-20s. Since then, I've been looking for an excuse to come back. I haven't managed to find one until now, but thanks to the organisers for inviting me. And yeah, it's been quite a unusual tournament for me because it's like 550 players, huge number, and like 90% of them are juniors. So many girls and boys playing, school kids playing. So the future for Sri Lankan chess looks quite promising, I would say.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Okay, so let's dive into the game. I have the game here for you. So while going through, now the channel is mostly viewed by little children. So if you can break it down into small steps and tell you like what were your ideas and everything throughout the game.
Sure, right. I can do that. Yeah, we can go through.
Take the mouse.
Although I've also noticed that Sri Lankan children here seem to be quite talented, so I don't need to make it too simple for them, I think. Yeah. So I was black in this game, and my opponent seemed very well prepared because the first 15 moves he played instantly. So he knew his theory very well. So we play the Sicilian defense, one of the sharpest openings, and after d4 we have what's called the open Sicilian, so one of the sharpest openings, and black has lots of different options here. The way that I play it with g6, as soon as the bishop goes to g7 in the Sicilian, it's some sort of dragon. It's either called the dragon or the accelerated dragon or the hyper accelerated dragon. So this one's just called the accelerated dragon. The reason that this one is not considered as good as the classical dragon is because of c4, but most children don't play c4, so I was hoping that he wouldn't, and then he did. So it is the best move, but it's also a little bit risky because now there's no pawn that can defend the d4 square where the knight is. So I target the knight straight away, and basically black's strategy is to play on the dark squares. And you'll see later on that my attack came about because of the dark squares. So I have control of the dark squares, white has control of the light squares, and then we just develop our pieces pretty normally. I won't say too much. This is just a very well-known opening theory, and he also knew it very well. In this position, I play bishop c6 because it forces another pawn to a white square. So you can see his dark squares are getting a little bit more and more undefended. So I put a pawn to attack a dark square. He has to put a pawn on a white square again. Almost all his pawns are on white squares. And then I try to swap off his main piece that's on the dark squares, which is the bishop on d4. So it's a very simple plan, but white is still better in this position. So he's played everything correctly. He hasn't done anything wrong. In fact, here, again, the best move because he wants to keep some control over the dark squares. And the first interesting moment is here on move 15, where I played e6, which you're not really supposed to do in the dragon, but it's a side variation. And because he'd played 15 moves instantly, I thought, I better do something different. Yeah. The idea of this is quite subtle. It's not easy to guess. The idea is actually a very, very quick kingside attack with the queen coming to h4. And I think he didn't realize it because he played the most obvious move to bring another rook over. So he's got the two rooks now bearing down on the queen side. But because all of his pieces have gone to the queen side, that gives me some justification for kingside attack. Yeah. So here comes the bishop. He just ignored it, and then here comes the queen. Now, he didn't think this was a big problem because he can play g3, and it is a good move. Says great. So after this, I'm kind of committed to a risky sacrifice. So bishop takes, pawn takes, queen takes, check. And you'll notice now that actually all of his pawns are on white squares. So I've got rid of all the pawns on the dark squares, but I'm missing a bishop. So it's kind of a big deal.
So Now, let me ask you now. Now, usually, like in a general game where you go for a sacrifice like this, you have pieces backing your attack up.
Yeah.
Right? Now, when you immediately see this, you don't see that any of your pieces have immediate access to the king side.
That's right.
Right. So
Yeah.
it's totally based on calculations you made the move.
Yeah, you're right. So it's not really a justified sacrifice, except that all of his pieces are on the queen side.
Right.
So it takes me a while to get my pieces over to the attack, but it also takes him a while to get them to defend. So it's just a race, and then and then it's pure calculation. But it's important to note that he's still better here. Actually, my sacrifice is not really sound. It actually gives me a chance if I want to try to make a draw with queen check, but I think he was also fine with the draw. So yeah. So in a tournament of this size, you have to take some risks. You have to gamble a little bit. So now we're F5, and you can kind of see the idea that I'm trying to open the file for the rook. Yeah. From now on, I think my opponent started to make some mistakes. I don't actually know what the best move is here, but in my calculations, I saw some ways that he could give back one more pawn to swap off the queens. So we would get an endgame where I would have 3 pawns and he would have a bishop, which is quite an interesting endgame. Chances for both sides.
Actually, the best move is taking the bishop to d1, so the queen will have access to the side.
Yeah, that makes sense. Maybe I can even play it on the board if that's the best move, because if I ever do a queen check, he can swap off the queens now. Yeah, and even if I get one extra pawn for it, he should be quite happy to end up with such a position. Even if, even some positions where he could win the rook for another piece, he'll have 2 bishops on an open board, so he should be quite happy. But something like this, I have 3 pawns, but he's got a piece and he's not getting checkmated, which is always a good thing. Yeah, but he did something that's like very sensible. It turns out to be a mistake, but he really wants to close the F line, so he played E5 to close it, which is completely reasonable, because if I take with the pawn, then he'll take my knight on C5, and if I take with the queen, then he's not getting checkmated on the F file. But he missed my next move, I think, knight E4, which I don't often get a brilliant thing from chess.com. That's nice.
You have 2 in this one.
Yeah. And the idea is just that I want to open the F file at all costs. So if he takes with the pawn, I take back, and even though I've lost two pieces, he's completely lost because of the F file. Yeah. So I just want the F file open. That's it. He can't really afford to let my knight stay on E4 because he'll get checkmated with the queen and the knight. So he took with the knight. I could take with the bishop, but of course I want the F file open. And now he's basically desperate to keep the F file closed, no matter what. But I just rip it open. So rook takes. And I was telling you before the stream that this was the position where while my opponent was thinking, I decided to count the pieces. And I thought, I'm a rook and a bishop down. It's not great. But of course, the pin is totally deadly. There's no way to stop it. And if he, for instance, takes the pawn with a plan to try to sacrifice the queen, the problem is that I'm not going to play rook takes. I'm going to play e3. And now I threaten checkmate on f2, and I threaten rook takes f4. And if queen takes, he loses the queen and the bishop, but I also keep my rook as well. So unfortunately for him, there's no way that he can take the pawn. So he tried desperately again to keep the f file open, but I just marched through. The rook just basically plowed through everything on the f file, and then a final check at the end wins the rook. So yeah,
gives up. Oh, right. Okay. Thank you very much. So I think who are watching has got a clear idea how he played and how he maneuvered the game, right? And what are the ideas behind it. So simple question. So the kids who are watching this, you have any kind of advices? We plan to meet again, but again, do you have any advices for the little ones who are watching the video?
Yeah, I mean, well, the main thing with chess is just to keep your love for the game, because at certain points in your chess progression, you'll stop improving and you'll get quite frustrated because you're like, why do I keep making mistakes? Why am I not going to the next level? And usually over time, you will get to the next level. This is the way that people usually improve, up and then stay, up, and then stay. So the main thing is to keep your love for chess, because if you get too discouraged, you stop training, you stop practicing, then you won't improve. So these sort of openings are not really very sound for black. I probably should play something else if I'm a professional, but for me, now that I'm over 40, to keep the love for the game, I need to play in a way that gets the adrenaline pumping. So whatever is the thing that you love about chess, just try to keep that going and don't be discouraged.
All right. Okay. Thank you very much. Then we'll hope to see you soon
Oh,
with the next game.
pleasure. Thank you.